The fluorescent lights buzzed like angry hornets above me as I slumped against the cold tile wall of the gym locker room. Tears carving hot trails down my cheeks for reasons I couldn't even name anymore. I'd come here to sweat out the ache in my chest. The one that had been building since I was a kid, hiding comic books under my bed to avoid my father's disapproving glare. But tonight, the weights had betrayed me, lift a reminder that I was still carrying too much alone. That's when the door creaked open, slow and deliberate. And there he stood, the janitor, mop in one hand, a ring of keys jingling softly in the other. His broad shoulders filling the frame like a quiet sentinel who'd wandered into my unraveling world. He froze, those hazel eyes deep and unguarded locking onto mine. And for a heartbeat, the air thickened with something unspoken, a gravity that pulled at the frayed edges of my soul. "Hey," he said, his voice low and steady, like gravel under tires on a rain-slicked Chicago street. "You all right there?" I wiped my face with the hem of my shirt, tasting salt and shame, and shook my head because words felt too heavy, too exposed. He didn't push. Instead, he leaned his mop against the wall and sank down beside me, close enough that I could smell the faint pine of cleaning solution mixed with something warmer, like fresh earth after a storm. That was Marcus, though I didn't know his name yet, and in that shadowed corner of the gym, with the distant hum of the city pressing against the windows, he became the first person in years who didn't look away. I was Nathaniel Hayes, 28 years old, a graphic designer scraping by in a one-bedroom apartment in Wicker Park, the kind of place where the L train rattled your dreams awake at dawn. Chicago had always felt like a fitting cage from a vast and indifferent, its steel skyscrapers mirroring the walls I'd built around my heart since high school. When the whispers in the locker room turned into echoes I couldn't silence. I joined this gym 6 months earlier, not for the sculpted bodies or the thump of bass-heavy playlists, but for the illusion of control. Push the iron, feel the burn, pretend the sweat masked everything else. But lately, the facade had cracked. My best friend, Lena, had cornered me over coffee last week, her eyes sharp as she said, "Nate, you're fading. What's eating you?" I'd laughed it off, blamed the freelance deadlines. But the truth gnawed deeper. I was gay. Or at least, I thought I was. The word had hovered in my mind like a ghost, formless and terrifying, ever since that stolen glance at a college party years ago. The one that sent me running back to the safety of straight-laced dates and unfulfilling hookups with women who deserved better. Marcus shifted beside me, his knee brushing mine, not intrusive, just present, and pulled a crumpled pack of tissues from his pocket, offering one without a word. He was older than me, mid-30s I'd guess, with the kind of build that spoke of honest labor, calloused hands, a slight stoop from years of bending to scrub floors no one noticed. His uniform was starched but faded, the name tag reading Marcus J. in peeling letters, and there was a quiet dignity in the way he sat, not towering over me, but sharing the space, as if he'd been waiting for this exact fracture in my armor. "Rough night," he murmured, his voice carrying the soft lilt of someone who'd grown up in the South before the city's pull brought him north, maybe Georgia or Alabama. The details would come later. I nodded, clutching the tissue like a lifeline. "Just everything piling up." The words tumbled out, unbidden, the job that paid the bills but starved my creativity, the family back in the suburbs who loved me in their conditional way, the parade of almost relationships that left me hollow. And then, haltingly, the part I'd never said aloud, "I don't know who I am anymore." Like, really no. He listened, really listened, his gaze steady without pity. And when I trailed off, he exhaled slowly. "I get that. More than you know. Name's Marcus. And this place, it's full of ghosts for folks like us. But you're not alone in M." That "us" hung there, a bridge I hadn't dared cross. And it stirred something fierce in my chest, a flicker of recognition, of possibility. We talked until the clock ticked past midnight, the gym's silence wrapping around us like a confessional. He shared fragments of his own story, born in Atlanta to a preacher father who preached fire and brimstone. He'd fled north at 19, chasing whispers of acceptance in Chicago's underbelly. Janitor by day, he'd pieced together night classes in community college, dreaming of owning a small landscaping business someday, something with roots. You know, real growth. By the time I stood to leave, the tears had dried, replaced by a tentative warmth. And as I grabbed my bag, he pressed a worn business card into my hand. Not for the gym, for if you need a ear, or a coffee. I didn't call that night, or the next, but I returned to the gym, my routine shifting unconsciously, lingering longer in the locker room, eyes scanning for that familiar figure with the mop. A week later, our paths crossed again, not in crisis, but in the mundane rhythm of closing time. He was wiping down the mirrors, humming an old soul tune under his breath. And I paused, towel slung over my shoulder. Coffee? I asked, surprising myself. His smile broke slow, like dawn over Lake Michigan. And just like that, the door cracked wider. What started as awkward small talk over steaming mugs at a corner diner on Division Street bloomed into stolen hours that reshaped my days. Marcus had a way of seeing through the noise, asking questions that peeled back layers I'd forgotten I had. Like why I sketched superheroes in my notebooks instead of the corporate logos my boss demanded. Those capes, he'd say, stirring sugar into his black coffee. They're your armor, Nate. But you don't need him with me. His laugh was rare but resonant, a rumble that eased the knots in my shoulders. And in those moments, I glimpsed the man beneath the uniform, a poet at heart, quoting Langston Hughes from memory, his hands gesturing like they were planting seeds in the air. Yet doubt shadowed every step. At home, alone with the flicker of my laptop screen, I'd replay our conversations, heart racing at the brush of his fingers when he passed the salt. Was this attraction? Or just gratitude? The mirror in my bathroom became an interrogator, reflecting back a face I barely recognized, soft jawline, eyes that darted away from their own reflection. I'd grown up in a split-level house in Oak Park, where Dad coached Little League and Mom baked pies for church potlucks. Their love a blueprint of normalcy I couldn't fit. Coming out, it wasn't an option. It was a detonation. So I buried it, dating Emily in college because she was kind and uncomplicated. Our breakup a quiet mercy when she sensed my distance. Now, with Marcus, the burial ground trembled. 2 months in, the first real test came on a rainy October evening. We'd taken to walking after his shift, the city's neon blurring in the downpour as we ducked under awnings along Milwaukee Avenue. He told me about Jamal, his ex from a decade ago, a barista with a laugh like fireworks, lost to the grind of unshared dreams. I loved him fierce, Marcus admitted, rain dripping from his hood. But fear's a thief. Nate stole our time. His vulnerability cracked me open. I confessed my own ghosts, the crushes I'd smothered, the prayers I'd whispered as a teen begging God to rewire me. We stopped under a street lamp, water pooling at our feet, and for the first time, our hands found each other, not tentative, but sure. His palm was rough, warm, and in that clasp, the world tilted, Chicago's pulse syncing with mine. But life doesn't yield easily to revelation. Work deadlines piled up, pulling me into late nights of revisions and resentment. While Marcus's shifts stretched longer with the holidays approaching, extra hours to fund a surprise trip for his niece back home. Our meetings grew sporadic, texts laced with apologies, and doubt crept in like fog off the lake. One night, after a canceled plan left me stewing in my apartment, I lashed out in a voicemail, Maybe this is too much. Maybe I'm not ready. His reply came swift. A knock at my door before I'd even hung up. He stood there, soaked from the sprint over. Eyes stormy. Don't run before we start. Nate. I've been there hiding in plain sight. But you're braver than you know. That confrontation became our pivot. We vowed slowness, intentionality, weekly dates disguised as gym debriefs, where we'd linger over post-workout shakes, dissecting not just reps but regrets. He introduced me to his hidden Chicago jazz dives in Hyde Park where saxophones wept for lost loves. The community gardens on the south side where he volunteered, hands deep in soil, coaxing life from concrete. There, amid rows of kale and tomatoes, he taught me patience. Growth ain't linear. Brother, roots go deep first, messy and unseen. I opened up too, sharing sketches from my secret portfolio heroes not in capes, but ordinary men with quiet strengths, their embraces defying the panel's edges. Winter clamped down, snow blanketing the city in hush, mirroring the softening in my chest. Christmas Eve found us at his sister's potluck in Englewood, a cramped row house alive with laughter and collard greens steaming on the stove. I was terrified the outsider, the unspoken question in their glances, but Marcus's hand on my back steadied me. This is Nate, he said simply, and his niece, a whirlwind of 8-year-old energy named Tia, dragged me to the floor for a game of charades, her giggles dissolving my nerves. Later, as carols crackled on the radio, he pulled me aside in the dim hallway. You fit here, he whispered, and when our lips met soft, searching, tasting of peppermint, and promised the room spun away, leaving only us. Spring thawed the ice, but unearthed sharper thorns. My parents announced a visit, their voices crackling over the phone with excitement about catching up, oblivious to the fault lines I'd hidden. Panic surged. I pulled back from Marcus, canceling plans with excuses about family prep. He saw through it, of course, confronting me over falafel at our spot on Halstead. You can't live half in, Nate. Not with me. Not with yourself. Tears pricked as I admitted the fear, rejection, the unraveling of the son they'd raised. He cupped my face, thumbs brushing my cheeks. Then let me stand with you. We're rewriting this together. The dinner was a battlefield disguised as pot roast. Seated around the scarred oak table in my apartment, Mom's eyes lit with chatter about the neighbors, Dad's nods punctuating her words like full stops. Marcus arrived fashionably late, invited as a friend from the gym, his presence a calm anchor amid my churning gut. Conversation flowed easy at first, sports, the Bears' dismal season, Marcus's tales of Southern Thanksgivings that drew laughs. But when Mom asked about my dating life, the air thickened. I froze, fork midway to my mouth, and in that suspended breath, Marcus's foot nudged mine under the tablia, silent vote of confidence. I've been seeing someone, I said, voice threading thin. Their smiles faltered, questions blooming, heart hammering. I reached for his hand across the cloth, lacing our fingers. This someone. Marcus. Silence crashed. Then Mom's gasp. Dad's chair scraping back as he stood, face paling. Nate. What is this? The words landed like blows. Accusations of confusion. Of phase. Of everything I dreaded. Marcus didn't flinch. He squeezed my hand. His voice even. Sir. Ma'am. I love your son. For who he is. All of him. And I'd be honored if you'd give us a chance to show you. The evening fractured, Dad storming to the balcony for air, Mom's tears mingling with pleas for normalcy. I defended, voice breaking. The boy they'd raised was still here, just whole now, loved in a way that healed rather than hid. Marcus echoed, sharing his own scars. The church doors slammed in his youth, The slow mending through chosen family. By night's end, Dad returned, shoulders slumped, murmuring, "We need time, son. But you're our boy. Always." It was an absolution, but a crack in the wall, sunlight piercing through. Summer unfurled in humid waves, our bond deepening like roots seeking water. Marcus's landscaping dream took shoppy small plot behind the gym, where we'd plant together on off days. Dirt under nails, laughter rising with the weeds we pulled. I quit the soul-crushing freelance gig, pitching my sketches to a local queer mag that ran a spread on Heroes Uncloaked. The response flooding my inbox with commissions that felt like breath. We traveled to a road trip to the Smoky Mountains, his homeland's echoes in the mist-shrouded peaks, where we hiked trails hand in hand, the world's judgment fading to birdsong. Yet trials lingered, shadows testing our light. Marcus's sister fell ill, a diagnosis of lupus that drained his savings and spirit. Nights blurred into hospital vigils, my arms his refuge as he whispered fears of loss. I held him through it, learning the art of being held in return, cooking bland broths, reading aloud from dog-eared novels till dawn. In reciprocity, my own darkness resurfaced. A freelance client unearthed my past sketches, twisting them online into mockery. Trolls spewing venom that echoed Dad's initial recoil. Isolation tempted, but Marcus pulled me to the garden, pressing a trowel into my palm. "Plant anyway, Nate. Beauty defies the storm." Autumn painted the city gold. Our first anniversary marked by a quiet vow under the bean in Millennium Park. Reflections warping our joined forms into infinity. We'd changed them, from fractured to forged, embracing panels that told our stories unapologetically. Him, from solitary steward to partner in bloom. His business sprouting clients who sought more than lawns, but lives renewed. Tia's bat mitzvahno. Wait. Her quinceanera planning became our joy. Her insistence on us as uncles sealing the circle. As winter circled back, softer now, I realized the rewrite wasn't erasure but expansion, lives intertwined. Scars honored as maps. One crisp December eve, back in that locker room where it began, Marcus knelt not in proposal, but promise offering a simple silver band etched with roots. "Forever's a choice. Every day?" he said, and I nodded. Tears of joy this time. Our embrace a testament to the boy who'd wept alone and the man who'd answered. In the years that followed, Chicago's rhythm carried us, a home in Logan Square with a backyard for our shared garden. Collaborations on murals that splashed queer narratives across brick walls. Family gatherings where Dad's gruff hugs grew warmer. Mom's questions turned curious. Tia called us her plant dads. Her garden parties a riot of blooms and belonging. And through it all, the gym stood sentinel, its floors polished by Marcus's hands. Now lighter, our story etched in every quiet corner. We'd found each other in the alone. And together, we'd authored a life unbound proof that love, in its truest form, doesn't just rewrite. It resurrects. The new year dawned with a deceptive calm. Snowflakes drifting like forgotten promises outside our window as I stirred awake to the scent of coffee brewing in the kitchen. Marcus was already up, his silhouette framed against the frosted glass, humming that same soul tune from our first Real Talk Something by Otis Redding. Voice like worn velvet smoothing the edges of the morning. It had been 6 months since the ring, 9 since that locker room collision, and yet each day felt like rediscovery. A gentle unfolding of layers we'd only begun to map. I slipped out of bed, padding across the creaky hardwood to wrap my arms around his waist from behind, chin resting on his shoulder. "Morning, Roots," I murmured, earning a chuckle that vibrated through us both. Life in Logan Square suited us. This converted duplex with its exposed beams and herb pots crowding the still far cry from my sterile Wicker Park bachelor pad. We'd painted the walls sage green, hung my murals alongside his framed certificates from the landscaping co-op, turning space into sanctuary. Work hummed steady. My graphic design pivoted to advocacy illustrations for local nonprofits. Each project a brushstroke reclaiming the narratives trolls had tried to smear. Marcus's business, Green Anchor Landscapes, had tripled clients. His crews transforming vacant lots into verdant havens that fed community souls as much as soil. But beneath the bloom, undercurrents stirred reminders that growth demands tending. Weeds never fully vanquished. It started small, a letter from Dad, postmarked Oak Park, arriving unannounced in our mailbox. I slit the envelope with a pocket knife, unfolding the crisp stationery. Marcus glancing over my shoulder as he sipped his mug. "Son," it began. Dad's blocky script unwavering. "Your mother and I have been talking. A lot. About that night. About you." My pulse quickened. The last correspondence had been a stiff holiday card. Progress measured in inches. He wrote of counseling couples sessions with a pastor who'd opened his eyes to grace beyond the black and white, and an invitation. Dinner. Just the four of us. No expectations. "We miss you, Nate. And we'd like to know this Marcus better. If you'll let us try." I handed the letter to Marcus, throat tight, watching his eyes scan the lines. "This is big," he said softly, folding it back with care. "You ready?" Truth was, I wasn't, not fully. The memory of that fractured meal lingered. Dad's paling face a specter in quiet moments. But Marcus's steady gaze anchored me. "As always, we'll go together," I replied. And in that decision, another route took hold. The dinner was set for a Saturday in February, the air biting with wind chill as we bundled into the car, heater blasting against the frost. Marcus drove, his free hand laced with mine over the console, thumb tracing circles that spoke volumes. We arrived at the familiar split level. Porch light haloed in ice. Mom's poinsettia still wilting on the stoop from Christmas. She enveloped me in a hug that smelled of lavender and hesitation. Her eyes red-rimmed, but warm. Dad waited in the foyer, extending a hand to Marcus' first firm, lingering a beat longer than courtesy demanded. "Welcome," he said, voice gravelly. And though the word carried weight, it landed without the old thunder. Over meatloaf and mashed potatoes, the same recipe from my childhood, the conversation danced tentative steps. Mom asked about the garden, her questions blooming with genuine curiosity. "Do you grow roses? Your grandmother loved those." Marcus shared stories of hybrid teas he'd coaxed from city clay, his passion lighting the room, drawing even Dad's nods. I chimed in with tales of our mural project downtown, a wall celebrating Stonewall echoes in Chicago's streets bracing for backlash. Instead, Dad cleared his throat. For pausing. Saw a piece in the Tribune about it. "Bold work, son. Reminds me, well, of the marches we watched on TV when I was young. Folks fighting for air. It wasn't effusive, but it was bridge building. Mortar laid in cracks I'd thought permanent." As plates cleared, Mom pulled out photo albums, yellowed pages of Little League trophies and family vacations, pausing at a snapshot of me at 12. Gap-toothed grin amid a backyard barbecue. "You were always drawing," she said, fingers tracing the image. Even then, seeing stories no one else noticed. Tears welled, not from sorrow but release. In that gesture, she affirmed the boy I'd been, the man I'd become. Marcus squeezed my knee under the table, his presence a silent hymn of solidarity. We left with hugs, real ones, lingering in promises of reciprocity, a garden tour come spring. Emboldened, we leaned into community. Marcus's crew took on a pro bono plot in Boys Town, transforming a derelict alley into a rainbow ribbon of perennials. And I volunteered illustrations for the opening gala. The night buzz drag queens emceeing. Local bands pulsing with queer anthems. Tia twirling in a skirt weed sewn together. Her laughter a beacon. Standing amid the crowd. Marcus's arm around my waist. I felt the tapestry weave tighter. Friends from Lena's circle mingling with his South Side kin. Stories overlapping like vines. A reporter from Windy City Times cornered us. Mike thrust forward. What's the heart of this space? Marcus grinned, pulling me close. Connection. From the ground up. But March brought tempests. Marcus's sister, Rochelle, worsened. Tests revealed complications, pulling him south for weeks to Atlanta, where family roots tangled with unresolved thorns. I flew down midway. The humid air a slap after Chicago's chill. Finding him in the hospital waiting room, eyes hollow. Shoulders bowed under invisible loads. She's fighting, he said, voice cracking as we embraced. But the bills. God. Nate. It's drowning us. We strategized in stolen moments. Crowdfunding pitches I designed overnight. Client calls he made from the cafeteria. Our partnership a bulwark against despair. Tia clung to us during visits. Her small hand in mine as we read picture books to Rochelle, whose weak smile whispered gratitude. Back north. My own storm brewed. A major Clienta conservative ad firm discovered my advocacy work. Emails escalating from reconsider your priorities to contract termination. Isolation clawed. Nights alone. I paced our living room. Sketches scattered like shrapnel. Doubt hissing that I'd gambled too much. Marcus returned gaunt but unbroken, enveloping me in the airport arrivals. His whisper fierce, we rebuild. Together. We did, pivoting my portfolio to queer-owned brands. His business sponsoring a youth art program that fused my designs with teen gardeners. Rochelle stabilized. Enough for a video call where she teased. Y'all are my anchors now. Don't let go. Summer swelled with triumphs. The Alley Gardens grand reveal drew city council praise. Our names in headlines as pioneers of green love. We escaped to Door County, Wisconsin, for a cabin week hikes through birch groves. Bonfires where we roasted marshmallows and roasted old fears. One twilight. Lake lapping at our feet. Marcus turned serious. Nate, I've been thinking. About forever. Legal. Official. You in. My yes was a vow renewed. The ring on my finger a compass pointing home. Yet autumn whispered warnings. Dad's health faltered, a mild heart scare during a church softball game pulling us back to Oak Park for support. In the sterile beep of his hospital room. As Mom fretted and nurses bustled. He gripped my hand. Nate. If I don't say it enough. I'm proud. Of your courage. And him. Tears streamed. Forgiveness flowed bidirectional. Mending threads I'd frayed. Tia started high school. Her essays on chosen family, quoting our story. A mirror to our evolution. Winter's hush brought reflection. Curled on the couch amid twinkling lights. Marcus's head in my lap. I traced his temple. We made it. I said. And he smiled. Eyes crinkling. And we're just beginning. Our lives. Once solitary scripts. Now co-authored epic proof that love's rewrite is endless. Each page a deeper dive into grace. The calendar flipped to our second spring. Cherry blossoms rioting along the lakefront as if to herald the quiet revolutions brewing within us. Marcus's business had outgrown the garage shed. Demanding a leap, leasing a lot on the west side for a nursery hub. A space not just for saplings, but workshops on urban farming for at-risk youth. It's more than plants. He explained over blueprints spread on our kitchen table. His pencil sketching irrigation lines with the precision of a man mapping destinies. It's teaching roots literal and otherwise. I nodded. adding flourishes to his proposal, vibrant logos of intertwined stems forming hearts. Taglines like, "Grow where you're planted." Funding was the hurdle grants competitive. Banks wary of niche ventures, but our pitch to the community foundation landed. Their check a seed of validation. My own path forked too. The Windy City Times feature evolved into a solo exhibit at a Pilsen gallery, Uncloaked, Narratives of Queer Resilience, 50 pieces chronicling not just us, but voices I'd amplified, trans elders, by icons. The invisible threads of intersection. Opening night thrummed with nerves. I paced backstage. Ty askew. Until Marcus appeared, straightening it with a kiss to my forehead. "Your heroes breathe tonight. Love." The crowd swelled, Lena toasting with champagne. Rochelle via video link. Even Dad and Mom in the front row. Their presence a milestone. A collector bought the centerpiece, a diptych of two figures emerging from shadow. Hands extended and whispered, "This heals." Sales funded a scholarship. But the real yield was internal. I saw myself not as imposter, but architect. Yet expansion invited exposure. A viral thread on social media twisted the exhibit into clickbait. Gym janitor's lover plays identity politics. Trolls dredging Marcus's past job. My family's suburbia. Painting us as grifters. Hate mail trickled. Envelopes scrawled with slurs left at the gallery. Voicemails hissing threats. Marcus shrugged it off publicly. But nights found him rigid beside me. Jaw clenched. "Ignores the good we're doing," he'd mutter. But I saw the flinch when a client's wife crossed the street to avoid him. We countered with visibility, a podcast interview where we unpacked the smears, turning venom to vulnerability. Listeners flooded with support donations, doubling the nursery's reach. Invites for speaking gigs that wove our tale into broader tapestries. Summer's heat wave tested temperaments. Tia's school drama escalated, a bully targeting her for our weird uncles. Her texts to Marcus laced with hurt. "Why can't we just be normal?" We drove to Englewood that weekend. Ice cream cones melting in our laps as we talked circles on the stoop. "Normal's a myth." "Bean," Marcus said, using her nickname. "But love, that's the real deal. Yours looks like pride flags and garden parties on it." She softened, sketching a family tree with us branching bold. And we brainstormed a youth ally workshop for the nursery. Her input making it sing. Personal tides turned title. Mom called mid-July. Voice quavering. "Nate, your father's. He's writing a letter. To the church. About us folks like you." My stomach nodded. "Dad, the deacon, risking pulpit for principle." The missive arrived days later. Typed and trembling, an op-ed for the local paper. Faith in the margins. Arguing grace for LGBTQ kin through parables of the outcast. It published amid backlash protests at services. Whispers in pews, but also ripples, allies emerging. A youth group inviting him to speak. We attended his first talk. Back row. Hands clasped. His closing line, "My son taught me love's not a line to toe, but a circle to widen," drew applause. And his hug afterward crushed with unspoken apology. Fall harvested abundance. The nursery bloomed. First workshop graduating 10 teens with certificates and toolkits. One shy kid confiding to me, "Your art made me see my own colors." Marcus beamed, dirt-streaked and fulfilled. Our evenings now ritual, dinner debates on expansion. His head on my chest as we dreamed aloud. But November, chilled with Los Rochelle's condition, relapsed. Aggressive, pulling Marcus south again. This time, I closed the gallery early, joining him in the sterile Atlanta ward. Our vigil a duet of quiet strength, holding Tia as she sobbed. Coordinating care with steely resolve. Rochelle passed in a dawn hush. Her last words a rasp, "You too." My greenest gift. The funeral was a mosaic of grief and grace, Southern hymns mingling with rainbow pins on mourners' laps. Tia's Eulogy, a poem we'd co-wrote. Verses of legacy. Winter wrapped us in woolen introspection. Back in Chicago, we scattered her ashes in the alley garden, petals falling like benedictions. Morning carved hollows. But also clarity, we adopted Tia part-time. Her room a riot of posters and plants. Our family expanding beyond blood. Legal forever beckoned a courthouse wedding in spring. Intimate with vows exchanged under budding branches. Dad officiated. Voice steady. In this circle, we choose each other. Our rewrite continued. Pages turning toward horizons where love's labor yielded not just survival, but thriving roots deep, branches wide, forever entwined. 3 years into our shared narrative, the city that had once echoed my isolation now hummed with our harmony. Its avenues a canvas for the lives we'd co-painted. The nursery had metastasized into Green Anchor Collectivia nonprofit hybrid, blending commercial jobs with free programs that dotted Chicago's south and west sides like green beacons. Marcus led with the quiet command of a conductor. His crew's a diverse symphony of formerly incarcerated folks. Queer youth. Immigrants finding footing in foreign soil. Its redemption in real time. He'd say, wiping sweat from his brow after a day of terracing a community farm in back of the yards. And I'd capture it in sketches, hands of every hue breaking earth. Faces alight with purpose. My studio thrived too. A corner loft in Pilsen where commissions flowed from murals to book covers. Each piece a portal to untold stories. We'd collaborated on a children's series, Roots and Rainbows, illustrating tales of kids navigating identity through magical gardens. Tia's voice narrating the audiobooks with precocious flair. Bestseller status surprised us. But the letters from young readers didn't. Crayon-scrawled notes thanking Uncle Nate and Marcus for making them feel seen. Bundled in shoeboxes we read aloud on rainy evenings. Laughter mingling with lumps in our throats. Tia, now 15, was our wild card high school, a forge tempering her fire. She interned at the collective, her sketches rivaling mine. But adolescence brought barbs, crushes unrequited. Peers probing our different family. One crisis peaked in a school counselor's office. Her backpack slung defiant as we arrived. They said we're not real. She spat, eyes flashing, recounting a history class debate on traditional families. Marcus knelt to her level. Voice even, reels what holds through storms. Bean. We've weathered hurricanes. I added anecdotes from our early days, framing our bond as epic, not anomaly. She emerged softer, channeling hurt into a zine, family foraged, distributed at the nursery. Its pages a manifesto of chosen kin. Family fault lines smoothed, yet echoed. Dad's op-ed had sparked a church schism. His deacon role revoked amid conservative outcry. But he'd founded a progressive fellowship in a rented hall. Sermons weaving scripture with stories like ours. Mom dove in, organizing potlucks that bridged generations. Her apple pie a peace offering. Their visit to the nursery that summer was tentative triumph. Dad donning gloves to plant heirloom tomatoes, like the ones from my grandpa's plot, his gruff approval warming as Tia demonstrated composting. You've built something solid here, he told Marcus later. Over backyard beers. Like I should have built sooner. The admission unlocked floods. We cried into the dusk. Healing's river carving canyons of grace. Yet expansion bred exhaustion. A city grant for a flagship rooftop farm on a north side high-rise ballooned into bureaucracy, permits delayed. Budgets bled by inflation. Marcus burned midnight oil on proposals. His sleep fractured. Mine too, as I freelanced extra to plug gaps. Tension simmered, a snapped retort over unpaid invoices. A silent drive home after a funding pitch flopped. We're stretching thin. I confessed one night. Curled on the couch. His sigh heavy. But thin soil grows shallow roots. Remember, We recalibrated with Ritualo weekend retreat to the Indiana dunes. Sand sifting between toes as we hiked bluffs. Voices carried on wind. There, amid dunes sculpted by time, we recommitted, boundaries on ours. Date nights etched in ink. Vulnerability vented steam. Marcus admitted fear of failure eclipsing his father's shadow, a preacher who deemed his dreams foolish folly. I shared imposter pangs. The gallery's acclaim feeling borrowed. We're enough, he affirmed, lips to my temple. Because we're us. Fall's harvest gala at the Collective was redemption incarnate, rooftop aglow with string lights. Tables laden with farm-fresh feasts. Donors mingling with grads who'd landed jobs. Tia emceed. Her poise electric. Announcing a surprise Our Roots and Rainbows, proceeds funding scholarships. A queer elder. Voice tremulous. Approached. Your story got me through my own rewrite. Thank you. As fireworks cracked over the skyline, Marcus pulled me to the edge. City sprawled below. Look what we grew. Winter whispered innovations. With Tia's prompting, we launched virtual workshops, gardening tips laced with life lessons. Streamed to rural queer kids via partnerships with national orgs. My illustrations animated the series. Pixels pulsing with possibility. Rochelle's memory lingered in a memorial bed of lavender. It sent a soothing specter during board meetings turned marathon. Spring cycled back. Our 5th anniversary marked by a vow renewal in the alley garden intimate circle of kin. Dad's blessing. Tia's confetti toss. But June brought a curve, a developer eyeing the west side lot for condos. Eviction notices looming. Rally cries rose petitions. Protests. Media spots where Marcus's eloquence shone. This isn't just land. It's legacy. Allies mobilized, city council allies. Celeb gardeners. Even Dad's fellowship marching with signs. The fight galvanized. Victory clinching in a zoning vote preserved. Expanded. Summer's sun baked our resolve. Tia came out as by over ice cream. Her casual so. There's this girl. Met with hugs. Not hurdles. We navigated her first date with wide-eyed wisdom. Our home a haven of honesty. Personal milestones mounted. Marcus keynoting a national landscaping conference. His talk, Cultivating Courage, trending. My book deal for a graphic memoir collision course detailing our origin. Ghostwritten with his input. Autumn's leaves turned. Mirroring transitions. Dad retired from the fellowship. Passing torch to a younger pastor. His final sermon, a love letter to evolution. I've learned God's garden thrives on diversity. We attended. Tears tracing familiar paths. Tia aced her SATs. College apps dreaming big botany at UIUC. Perhaps. Winter's embrace deepened intimacy. Snowbound one storm. We pored over adoption papers formalizing Tia's place. Our family etched in law. As flakes danced, Marcus traced my ring. From a loan to this. Worth every thorn. Our epic unfolded. Chapters rich with resilience love's garden. Ever tending. Eternally yielding. Midway through our tapestry, the weave grew intricate. Threads of joy and jagged challenge interlacing like veins in a leaf. The Collective's flagship rooftop had flourished into a verdant oasis. Beehives humming amid herbs. School groups touring its tiers for lessons in sustainability and self. Marcus oversaw it with paternal pride. His TEDx invite, from mop to mulch, unearthing identity, a pinnacle that packed the house. His closing line, we all start in the dirt. It's what we grow that defines us, earning a standing ovation that left him flushed. My whoop from the wings his anchor. My memoir launched to acclaim. Collision course, climbing indie charts. Its panels raw with our locker room genesis. The hand clasp under ring. The garden vows. Book tours pulled me coast to coast. Readings in San Francisco dives and Boston bookstores where fans shared parallels. Your story mirrored my closet. Exhaustion shadowed success, jet lag blurring into deadlines, but Marcus's care packages arrived like clockwork, pressed wildflowers. Notes in his slanted script, root deep. Bloom bold. Tia, 16 now. Edited my drafts with teen acuity. Her marginalia sparking revisions that hone the heart. Family orbits aligned closer. Dad's fellowship merged with a larger UCC congregation. His role evolving to mentorship. Preaching hybrid services streamed to shut-ins. Mom started a book club, Stories of Becoming, featuring my work. Her circle of church ladies debating chapters over tea. Their evolving views a quiet revolution. Tia's visits to Oak Park became bi-monthly. Her and Grandma's baking sessions yielding lopsided pies and profound chats. Love's like yeast. Mom says makes everything rise. Challenges crested in waves. A collective expansion to Milwaukee hit Snag's local zoning battles echoing Chicago's. Amplified by a far-right blogger framing it as woke overreach. Threats escalated, slashed tires on crew vans. Anonymous calls hissing slurs. Marcus weathered it stoically. But cracks showed sleepless nights pacing the nursery. His touch hesitant as if bracing for fracture. I can't lose this. He confessed one dawn. Voice raw over coffee gone cold. It's us. Poured into soil. I rallied allies. Legal aid from queer orgs. Counter-protests with Tia's school GSA. My media contacts spinning narratives of community good. The city backed us. Permits granted. But the toll lingered, counseling sessions where we unpacked armor. Emerging lighter. Laced tighter. Summer scorched with personal fire. Tia's first heartbreak, a girlfriend ghosting after coming out to conservative parents, shattered her poise. Sobs echoing through our halls. We tag-teamed triage, Marcus's hikes in the dunes. My sketch sessions turning pain to portraits. Her journal filling with fury then forgiveness. It hurts. But I'm not broken. She declared. Chin lifted. And we swelled with pride, our girl. Roots resilient. Fall's equinox brought equilibrium. The memoir's audiobook. Narrated by a rising non-binary actor. Top charts. Royalties seeded a collective artist residency. Blending my world with Marcus's. We honeymooned in Costa Rica post-adoption bliss. Tia's blessing in tow via video rainforests mirroring our entanglement. Ziplines a metaphor for leaps taken. Back home. Dad surprised with a garden bed at the old house. Engraved plaque, for new growth. Winter's solstice tested tenacity. A flu outbreak sidelined Marcus. Pneumonia gripping fierce. Hospital lights harsh as he wheezed through IVs. I camped bedside. Tia's homework abandoned for story hours. Dad's prayers a steady murmur. Recovery was glacial weeks of broth and bedrest, but emergence forged fortitude. He redesigned the nursery's wellness program, incorporating mental health check-ins. His vulnerability the curriculum's core. Spring rebounded buoyant. Tia's acceptance to UIUC full ride. Botany bound sparked tears and toasts. Her dorm room stocked with our care packages. The collective's annual gala honored us as visionaries. Scholarships named for Rochelle blooming anew. Personal quietude deepened. Weekly alone dates, where we reclaimed solitude together, solitary walks reconvening at dusk. Sharing harvests of thought. Summer's symphony swelled. My second book, Entwined, chronicled Tia's integration. Co-authored with her. Pre-orders pouring in. Marcus keynote a White House panel on urban green spaces. Rubbing shoulders with policymakers. His influence rippling national. Family fused, a joint barbecue in Oak Park. Dad grilling with Marcus. Mom and Tia plotting plots. Laughter the loudest legacy. Autumn's palette painted progress. Tia thrived on campus. Weekend returns brimming with tales, study groups diverse. A crush kindled. We navigated empty nest pangs with projects, a podcast. Rooted conversations. Interviewing queer elders. Our episode's vulnerability vaults. Winter wrapped with wonder. As snow mantled the city, we reflected by firelight. Marcus's hand in mine. From that mop handle to this. He mused. A lifetime rewritten. Our story. Ever evolving. Whispered, love's labor is legacy. Chapters infinite. Decades cusp approached. Our narrative a mature arbor branches broad. Fruits born of seasons stacked. The collective spanned 3 sites now. A network nurturing thousands. Rooftop farms feeding food deserts. Apprenticeships lifting families from poverty's pit. Marcus, gray threading his temples, led with elder grace. His book, Dirt Dialogues, a bestseller distilling decades into digestible wisdom. Forward penned by me. He taught me soil's silence speaks loudest. My oeuvre expanded, graphic novels serialized in majors. A Netflix adaptation of Collision greenlit. Authenticity clause ensuring our voices steered the script. Tours turned triathlon spanels in LA. Signings in NY but homecomings to Marcus's embrace recharged. Tia's now adult calls a chorus of pride. At 25, she helmed the collective's youth arm. Her PhD in sustainable AG a pipeline dream. Girlfriend Elena a fixture at Holiday's brunette firebrand, whose debates with Dad sparked sparks of growth. Kinship knit unbreakable. Dad's health stabilized post-bypass. His memoir in progress, pew to plot, mirroring mine. Chapters on reconciliation raw as fresh-turned earth. Mom's Book Club evolved to a podcast. Guests like us unpacking faith's folds. Annual reunions in the Smokies blended blood and bond. Hikes where Dad and Marcus bonded over fly fishing. Tia and I sketching summits. Elena's quips the glue. Storms still stormed. Subtler now. A collective budget crunch post-pandemic ripples forced layoffs. Marcus's nights haunted by faces he'd championed. Their stories can't end here. He'd agonize. And we'd brainstorm till dawn, pivot to virtual trainings. Corporate partnerships with ethics clauses. My adaptation hit snag studio notes softening queer edges for broad appeal, igniting fury. I threaten walkout. Marcus's counsel calm, fight smart. Love. Rewrite their script. Concessions 1. The series premiered to Rave's Authentic Anthem, our cameo in the finale a wink to Origins. Summer's zenith zinged with Tia's wedding intimate lakeside affair. Elena in white linen. Vows echoing ours, through thorns and thistles. We walked her down the aisle. Arms linked. Tears twin tracks. Dad's toast, family's the garden, we tend together, drew sniffles. Honeymoon gifts from us, seeds from Rochelle's lavender. A promise of plots in their new home. Fall's frosts forged fortitude. Elena's pregnancy announcement twins en route catapulted us to grandparents in waiting. Nursery rhymes revisited with glee. Marcus dove into designs, eco-cribs. Sustainable swings. My next project. A family saga graphic novel. Wove generations our collision as chapter pivot. Winter's whiteout brought wisdom. A scare Marcus's routine check flagging a benign polyperminded mortality's murmur. We penned advanced directives. Not in dread, but devotion. Ensuring our entwined end. Counseling refreshed. Sessions unpacking legacy fears. Emerging with estate plans seeding the collective perpetual. Spring's surge celebrated silver, our 10th anniversary gala. Collective transformed into twinkling wonderland. Toasts toasting trials turned treasures. Tia's bump blooming. She whispered. You two made space for this. Dad. Frail but fierce. Raise glass to rewrites that redeem. Summer simmered with seedlings. Twins arrived Jordan and Sage. Squalls softening to coos our home a rotation of diapers and delights. Marcus's lullabies legendary. Elena's maternity leave overlapped Tia's sabbatical. Creating cocoon of care. Autumn's amber aged us gently. My novel debuted. Dedications dual, For Marcus, my forever plot. For the kids, endless rows. Book tour abbreviated for Baba Duty. Fans gushing over Grandpa Glow. Winter's hush heralded honors. Marcus knighted by Chicago's mayor Green Guardian, his acceptance weaving our yarn. From a janitor's mop to this mended world. I followed with a MacArthur nod. Genius, grant fueling fellowships for queer artists. As snow silenced streets. Bundled babes in arms. We gazed at our garden perennials persistent. New shoots stirring. What next? Marcus pondered, nuzzling my neck. More? I replied. Always more. Our epic. Etched in earth and ink. Affirmed, love's rewrite is Renaissance. Boundless. 20 years post-collision. Our chronicle crested like ancient oaks gnarled yet grand. Shade-sheltering saplings sprung from our shade. The collective. Now a national model. Franchised to 10 cities. Its ethos, equity in every ecosystem, a mantra minted in boardrooms and backyards. Marcus. Silver-crowned sage. Consulted globally. His second book, Harvest of Hearts, translated tongues. Chapters chronicling collective kin who'd risen from recruits to CEOs. Retirement loomed. Not abdication, but evolution, mentoring the next wave. His days freed for travel and tots. My legacy layered. A studio empire mentoring marginalized makers. Collision, a curriculum staple in gender studies. Sequels spawning symphonies operas off-Broadway. Murals monumental. Tia. Tenured prof at UIUC. Chaired sustainable studies. Elena Dean of diversity. They're twins. Jordan and Sage. Now 8. Romped our yard Jordan's sketches echoing mine. Sage's green thumb Marcus's mirror. Grandparenting gifted goofy graces, fort-building fiascos. Bedtime sagas of our mop magic origin. Extended kin knit constellations. Dad passed at 92. Peaceful in sleep. His service a tapestry, fellowship flock. Collective crew. Family fused in song, amazing grace, reharmonized queer. Mom. Spry at 88. Relocated to our guest house. Her stories seasoning suppers. Book club beaming via Zoom. Tia's brood called her Nana Pie. Her pie's the peace pipe. Tempests tempered to tutorials. A collective scandal embezzlement by a mid-level manager-ocked foundations. Headlines howling, greenwashing gone wrong. Marcus testified transparently. Reforms rigorous, audits amplified. Ethics etched eternal. Rebound resilient. Donors doubled down. Deeming us unbreakable. Summer solstice spotlighted silver linings. Tia's twins' baptism secular splash in the Lake Drew diaspora, Elena's Mexican kin. Our Chicago chorus. Vows voluntary. Values voiced, grow kind. Grow true. Fall's foliage framed farewells. Mom's memory faded gently. Alzheimer's a slow sunset. We chronicled her in journals. Jordan reading aloud her recipes. Sage planting her favorite mums. Hospice hummed harmony. Her last lucid laugh, you boys. Bloomed beautiful. Winter's vigil victorious in variance. Elena's cancer diagnosis stage 1. Caught keen rallied resources. Collective's wellness wing pioneering protocols. My network's netting top trials. Remission rang bells by spring. Family fortified. Our own autumn advanced. Marcus's knee replacement rehabbed with my coaxing crutches clacking comedic cadences. My cataract surgery sharpened sights. Literally, panels precise anew. Spring's symphony swelled. Sage's science fair when Grandpa Marcus's magic soil sparkled. Jordan's junior gallery show sold out. Tia tenured tenure track triumph. Elena elected board chair. Summer's heat healed. A collective cruise thank you to trailblazer sailed serenity, lectures light. Laughter loud. Marcus and I stargazing. Plotting post-retirement, a cabin in the up. Volunteer voyages. Autumn's archive amassed. I curated a museum exhibit, Roots Rewritten, artifacts from our arc. That first business card. Yellowed. Dad's op-ed. Framed. Twins' tiny trowels. Opening overflowed. Tears and toasts. Winter's wisdom warmed. As flakes fell. Encircled by great-grand echoes, Tia's surprise pregnancy. Marcus murmured. From alone to legion. Our saga. Sown in shadow. Harvested light love's lexicon. Lexicon of lives luminous. 30 years lens lengthened our legend. A legacy landscaped lush. Lessons layered like loam. The collective. A colossus. Spanned continents affiliates in Toronto. Nairobi its app disseminating dirt dialogues daily. Users uprooting biases worldwide. Marcus. Emeritus Elder. Pen poetry now. Volumes vending virtue. Ode to the unseen seed. His knighthood order of the green, cross-hung humble beside our wedding band. My mantle matured, foundation founder. Hayes House, harboring hundreds of queer creators annually. Residencies birthing blockbusters. Collision canonized. Curricula cornerstone. Great-grand tome, generations grown, grandkids ghostwriting. Generational glue. Tia. 50s bloom. Presided over eco-policy. Elena retired to advisory. Their quintet twins plus triplets thriving. Jordan's Animation Academy ace. Sage's startup sprouting smart farms. The We Three whirling wonders. Great-grandparenting giggled. Tea parties with tin cups. Tales tall as trees. Kinship kaleidoscoped. Mom's memorial merged with Dad's joint jubilee in the garden. Ashes enriching earth. Tia's tots tended the plot. Petals a perpetual prayer. Storms subsided to simulations. A cyber hack hit the collective data breached. Donors dubious but firewalls fortified. Transparency triumphing. Trust tills the field. Summer's summit serenity. Family flotilla to the Keys yacht yawns. Yarn spun on decks. Marcus's marimba mimicking memories. Fall's festival fate 40s. Our Ruby renewal vows voice to village vast featured flash mob of mints. Dance defying decades. Winters weave wondrous. Elena's recurrence rebuffed radical immunotherapy innovated via foundation, funds rallying resolve. Personal paces purposeful. Marcus's memoir milestone audio autobiography. My narration netted nebulas. My mobility mutt. A golden retriever guide for encroaching vision. Matched his wit, fetched the future. Pup. Spring's sparked. Sage's spouse selected ceremony in our conservatory. Vows verdant. Summer's soiree celebrated septuagenarians. Collective centennial wait. 30th capped with time capsule, my first sketch. Marcus's mop handle. Kids' capsules. Autumn's aura aged artfully. Jordan's Oscar nod for animated Roots, our cameo caricatured Creed cheers. Winter's whisper welcomed 80ths. Bedbound but blissful. Marcus mused. Lives rewritten. Ripples reach realms. Our Odyssey. Odyssey of ordinary origins. Ordained ordinary miracles love's luminous ledger. Ledger lasting.